final match of Group B getting ready to start. We have the Nemesis versus Michael Myers. And our build as follows: Corrupt Intervention, Pain Res, Deadman Switch, Discordance, with of course Liquor Tongue and Margarin's Blood. Very common add-ons. It's probably the best add-ons no matter what, even if you take into account the iridescent add-ons. Those are just the two best, the ones that everyone will say they want to go too hard. Discordance, not necessarily the best perk, but Nemesis, yellow generators, the zombies will get attracted to yellow generators, head on over to it and attempt to push somebody off. The only downside is usually because Discordance it procs when there's two survivors. One of the survivors will simply take the zombies on and will stroll, but still, making sure one person's doing nothing for the most part is always a plus. There's two flashlights here and a toolbox. Fourth survivor winds up leaving. You know, another toolbox shows up. Flashlights galore here, though. Pain Res Deadman Switch is the go-to big slowdown for most killers. Of course, most killers that are not necessarily as strong might have difficulty getting that first down. But if Nemesis can secure a Pain Res hook before the first gen gets completed, he's looking to get good progress. And I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe from here on out, the one perk per, original perk per killer rule might no longer apply. I believe it is due to the fact that you want to see kind of the killers at their strongest, the killers at their best, and shoehorning a random perk into a build doesn't always necessarily. It leads to more comedy but less actual skill. Hey. Nemesis is a guy who is Nemesis is a lot like Oni in a way. Well, that first hit, that first down is going to be hard, but he snowballs really hard once he gets tier 2 of that whip. Once he gets tier 3 of that whip, it winds up making it just that pallets can be completely ignored, walls can be completely ignored for the most part. You wind up finding the Felix. Oh, Finesse is going to be able to get him across that just in time. See another survivor going to swing off. They're not going to go for the window, they're going to go for the drop down. Assuming it's the balance, it is not. You take the hit there. You kind of think if you're Nemesis, you want to go for the whip because you want to get that tier 2 as fast as possible. Getting it down. He is going to drop the survivor, go and look for someone else. Corrupt Intervention blocking 3 gens. That will be stopped the moment survivor goes down. So just keeping that survivor injured, going to see if any other gens have progress. We find another one, is Laura Croft out in the distance. Laura Croft should give the first tentacle whip. Nope, a bit early off the mark. Gonna run down below. Zombie might catch the attention, but she's just moving her way out. These are some low walls. You might almost assume that Nemesis can swing over these. Not having the most luck. Just gonna shake her head. Okay. Not having the most luck getting the whips out. Trying to whip through the pallet. Corrupt Intervention still up. Down here will lead to that going down. You hear some progress in the gen behind you. Trying to whip over the rock will not go through. Laura is just having a day. Now you have your first gen going down. This might be a pallet save. You know someone's close by. Oh boy. Rick is gonna run up, even though he's in a gown, it doesn't matter to him. He's gonna run up to grab that pallet save. Why was that pallet dropped? Either way, it's going to take a little bit longer for Nemesis to run around that. Now you have one gen, which is close to completion, and a second gen, which has been completed. No pain res yet to use. You find the original survivor you started with, but now they are healthy. You gotta get these whips. That stun pretty much shouldn't have hit, but it is what it is. Zombie might get a hit. Zombie will not get a hit. Just out of range. Jeez. Whips are just off the mark for this Nemesis. Maybe not feeling himself. He is up against Michael Myers, who has just been reworked, so you don't know how Michael's gonna do. But now all survivors are healthy, no hook states at all, and now you're in Killer Shack. Killer Shack with Tier 2 Nemesis is more Nemesis-sided, but Killer Shack this early, you really want to avoid it. And that gen has to be close to being done, and it is. They flashlight the zombie so that he can't do anything. 2 gens completed, and no hooks. The whip is going to be off the mark. It almost looked like his cat jumped on his mouse. Made him miss that whip there. Daryl's going to fake out the window. He's going to take a hit, but having not landed a whip yet, looking scary. Maybe you can keep the zombie to do something. Zombie to get a little infection rate. And he's just going to go for the M1. Daryl is going to teleport while on the ground, though, because Dead by Daylight is a good and well-balanced game. Leaving Daryl there, just let him on the ground. Try to see if we can get a little bit of infection. We can at this point. Yeah, he's going to hit. Nemesis is going to hit his zombies, taking out the frustration. Pain res hook in the corner is going to help a little bit. But you gotta, because of the add-ons you have with the Marvin's Blood and the Liquor Tongue, you're not gonna be able to do much. Progress from whipping the zombies. You're gonna have to whip the survivor. Big progress on the Killer Shack gen. There was a scratch mark, it looked like, on the wall. Maybe somebody was running just the end there, but not gonna find anybody. Oh, yep, there's the scratch marks. There's the guy. This frame rate's not necessarily the best. Can't necessarily tell. Kind of looks like it could be Quentin or a legendary skin. Just gonna run straight through that pallet. The wall of the Killer Shack is gonna block a little bit. 3rd gen getting completed. The snowball has not been in effect. Finesse over the window. This gen is definitely regressing hard, though, which is helping a little bit, moving around this Killer Shack, but not being able to get any hits. It's not been doing much. It's not going to take that window. He's going to fake it, cause the Nemesis to swing at nothing. If he takes the window, remember he does have Finesse, but Finesse won't matter. Finally, Tier 2. Now this is when the ball starts rolling. Zombies here to help, giving a little backup reinforcement. But the zombie is just not fast enough. The whip is far enough. So I was going to head back into Killer Shack, hoping but that window is now blocked, because surprisingly during this entire chase, that window is the only thing that's been bolted 3 times. And the survivor's going to have to sprint away. Runs them straight into Laura. Is a rather interesting predicament. Running through this pallet, he's going to probably drop it here. Nemesis not going to go for the break either with the whip or the punch. He's going to go stop the aggression on these gens. Doesn't see anybody. And unfortunately, my video crashed. And now we're back. We're back. Alright. A little bit of internet problems there, but we are back. Interesting decision to run upstairs and jump back down. He's trying to slide the whip. That pallet is up again. You assume somebody has the Yui perk. Pallet under the main building is back up. This will be a down. Oh, right through the pallet, and it could be a basement hook. Now, this wouldn't be a pain res, but a basement hook you think you just have to take. Maybe not. Wants the pain res instead. 3 pain reses on this side of the map. It's definitely very bad RNG for the Nemesis. Poor guy. Okay. Okay. I don't really know what that was. If it was lag or if it was a sprint burst paired with some lag. Daryl's gonna hit Nemesis in the face with the pallet and run away. We have a zombie coming up to this loop. Zombie might get a hit. Zombie does get a hit. So now we have an M1 and an infection on the Daryl. There's only so many antidotes on the map. As the game goes on, the infections will become more important. I'm gonna try to whip over the low wall. Maybe if you're tier 3, get that reach. Daryl thinking that Nemesis is going for the whip again, decides to duck and winds up going down. Laura looking for the flashlight save, but is just running around in circles. And now there's still only 2 gens left. Survivors have done a lot of work early, but not much. Unfortunately, the zombies are not going to give a lot of infection rate for this Nemesis. Because of Marvin's blood, you're going to want to really find a survivor that hasn't been hit yet, isn't infected, and give them good damage. Give them good hit. See DMS proccing on the corner over here. Big progress on the Gen and Killer Shack. Walking out the back of the Killer Shack, hoping that survivor falls for the tricks. Oh, trying to hide in the grass. Gonna take a bonk in the side of the head. Maybe he comes back to this pallet. He is not. He's looping all the way back over to the other gen that had progress. I think we're working on it. Whip is going to go through, and now it's so close to tier 3. Gonna go for the other survivor, and that should be tier 3 acquired. Now extra range on the whip. Extra pallet destructibility, which he's now showcasing. Survivors just deciding to pre-drop. That didn't hit the pallet, which is rather interesting. Gen is going to get completed on the far end of the map. You hear coughing. Where's the coughing coming from? Is that the locker or is it outside the Killer Shack? Is it outside Killer Shack? Just nearby. She has a pain res available. Getting her down would be very important. Whip just hits that edge of the wall again. Now she's trying to take you into the side of the map with no generators. Nemesis gonna need to make this short, and he does. Pain res relatively close near the Killer Shack. Just stalling this game out. Pain res Deadman switch hitting the Killer Shack gen. But sees the Lara Croft. Decides completely to just ignore Lara Croft. Heading back over to this gen that had progress before. I don't know if that was necessarily the right play though. You know Daryl, based on the scream, was in Killer Shack when pain res goes off. And Laura runs past as well. That could have been a good opportunity to make a lot of chases happen around the hook. There would have been no anti-camp given the fact that the survivors were both around it. Finds who I believe is Quentin. Can't really tell. Probably not going to know until the end of the game. And does the whip go far enough? It does not, but survivors still ducked, thinking that the pallet would be enough. Giving up the survivor, finding Laura again. Laura does still have pain res hook, so maybe you think about him, but no, going over the Killer Shack gen, knowing this one was the closest. Sprint burst out from Daryl, so it wasn't lag. It was a very weird sprint burst effect. Daryl is on death hook. Oh, he's gonna spin him around the hook. Auto aim, kind of, maybe not necessarily auto aim, but something definitely happened there. He's gonna take the hit. And then, barring any insane event, Daryl should go down here. Maybe a flashlight save happens, but he's in the bush. It's gonna be a very hard angle for Laura Croft to get. She's gonna go for it. She's not gonna get it. Might see some body blocks on this hook. This is a dead survivor. Daryl out of the game. Chasing that survivor away. Get him away from the gens that are currently being worked on. Somebody else is in Killer Shack trying to keep this progress done. Oh, okay. Laura wasn't working on it. I had to take a second. I saw it. I still didn't know what happened. So Laura was working on the gen while Nemesis was trying to kick. No pallet here means Laura going down means Laura on a pain res hook or just in the basement. What does Nemesis want to do? There's 2 pain res hooks really close, but so is the basement. And it's going to be the pain res. Oh, but that hook has no hook. Gonna have to take her farther away. Hook has yet to respawn because the survivor died there. Pain res is then likely gonna hit. Oh, it didn't hit the Killer Shack gen because the Killer Shack gen was blocked by DMS. So the Killer Shack gen is still big damage available. Currently on 6 hooks. Myers can definitely take advantage of there only being 6 hooks. There's going to be a survivor going down. Can Nemesis keep him out? Using the whip. The whip could be enough. He's already infected. It'd be hard pressed for him to go for the save. Zombie with the hands up. Zombie's helping defend as well. Maybe you almost look to go for the pickup at this point, just in case. If she stands back up and goes for the save, it would be absolutely insane. But for now, Nemesis thinking it's best to go for this last survivor. The whip is going to be slightly off the mark. Taking a wide angle there. He's going to try to go back for the hooks, but the zombie's not close enough. Not going to go for the save. Laura hits stage 2. Whip goes through over the generator. He's going to vault the window. He's between a Nemesis and a zombie. Which one's going to get him? The zombie! Oh, zombie's not fast enough. Oh, here comes the M1. Dead hard! Dead hard! He's going to go for the save during the dead hard. Does the whip connect? The whip does not connect! You still have 1 survivor on the ground, and you have 2 survivors on the ground. She's gonna go for the pickup, but she doesn't. She does get the pickup, but she loses endurance for going to pick up. And now you got 2 slugs, and someone just running back and forth. 1 M1. She is not infected, so it would take 2 whips. But 1 M1 is the difference between a 4K and a whatever else it would be. Breaking this pallet. Maybe you go for a pickup. No, he just waits to find the survivor. He's letting the other 2 recover on the ground. Goes for the whip. Now it's infected. Now a M1 or an M2 ends this game. Oh my gosh. Now it's cleanup. You know the survivor you just picked up does not have Unbreakable because they would have picked themselves up before, but the other 2 have not been slugged as long, or could be holding an Unbreakable, and the other survivor, which I believe is Quentin, but I can't tell because I'm watching him in my screen, could have an Unbreakable. No one has become a bot yet. You'd assume if there were bots, no one would have Unbreakable. But now it's just finding this Laura. And again, I do have to reiterate, just in case you guys, anybody watching just started watching for some reason this episode here, hatch escapes will still count toward the 4K. So as long as Laura does not stand up and exit through a gate, if they bleed out, get hooked, get moried, or escape through the hatch, this is a 4K for the Nemesis. Very strong last shovel. apologize, I had to step away for a second. I see we do not find the Laura. There was hidden offerings. Maybe a hatch spawn at Killer Shack, maybe a hatch spawn in main building. Nemesis is assuming hatch is spawning at main building. If not, Laura's likely gonna crawl out. There is hatch. That is a 4-minute timer till the endgame collapse continues. You almost could have been a little worried there. If Laura Croft had adrenaline, closing the hatch would have got her to stand up. Oh, do we hear crying? We do hear crying. And that is going to be the 4K for the Nemesis. A very strong first showing. Those first 3 gens flew like a private jet. And Nemesis was able to get hooks. Like I told you, Nemesis is like Oni. That moment he got that tier 3, breaking pallets, whipping people across the map, it was easy. Sorry for the slugs, y'all didn't deserve that. I don't know, a lot of very, like, two finesse gamers, blast mine gamers, windows of opportunity, they probably did this. It is what it is. Next match is going to be Michael Myers once we input the score. Very similar build here. Putting in Jagged Compass over... honestly, my short-term memory completely already made me forget what what was had of the Nemesis. Michael the Myers. And what add-ons do we have here, Michael? We have... Oh, we're reading the instructions, so I can't see. There's it. Tacky earrings. Increases movement speed while stalking by 20%. And then... I can't tell what's on the other side of that. Is it the dead rabbit? I'm not sure. Oh, there we go. It's the paint... It's the hairbrush. When Evil Incarnate mode activates, the next pallet break is 50% faster. Now, the person behind the camera, Salty, hasn't been known to break very many pallets. But we'll see what he winds up doing with this hairbrush add-on. Now, what do we got here? Flashlight, medkit, and then 2 people with nothing? Or Kate might have a key, but if it's pretty small. Michael's a rather interesting killer where he wants somewhat close quarters, but also long sight lines. He does have a max range where he can stalk people from, but a map like Dead Dog Saloon, a map like maybe even Hawkins, he's not gonna want a map like Midwich that's small and very compact. He could do it, but maybe something like RPD. Map with long sight lines, but also close quarters for maybe able to peek around. Not as much as Ghostface. Ghostface loves those really small, really tight maps, so he can get the stock, get down, move on. What Michael definitely really wouldn't want is like something like Ormond Resort, or Ormond Mine, something where it's very easy to see him. And it's gonna be Coal Tower. Coal Tower definitely better than Suffocation Pit, I'll tell you that. Gonna stay in the stock mode. Look for any survivors going around. Not finding anybody near the corrupt gens. Oh, here we go. Huh. Okay. Is that a sprint burst already? That was very interesting FOV tech. Oh, not knowing how to charge the strike. It is what it is. Gonna cancel it and get the hit before they vault. Looking to see if they can take a second down. Corrupt Intervention is now off boards. Find scratch marks. Maybe you can find a second survivor down. Sounds like a missed skill check. Very fast pallet break. But now, where'd your slug go? Michael, where'd your slug go? Uh-oh. Stock is about to run out. Survivors are going to be not as afraid to run straight at him. She's able to get herself all the way over to a pallet. But still, no one coming for the save. I say that. I said that even as she was running straight at, no one's coming for the save. Because I knew that that pallet save was not going to go through. Pain Res DMS. The only downside to Jagged Compass with the Pain Res DMS combo is Pain Res is always going to hit the gen with the most progress. Jagged Compass is going to show you the gen with the most progress. And DMS is going to block that gen. So you already know which gen is blocked, which gen is everything, basically. Healing underhook. Not necessarily sure what they're doing. Oh. Going for the lunge. Didn't activate Evil Incarnate. Would have made that faster, but I understand that you really kind of want to get closer to the survivors before going for the long stab. Big progress on the gen here. Bill might take a hit. Didn't charge it fast enough. Fast gen kick speed with the Evil Incarnate. Maybe you can find Bill. There's a Bill and Kate here. Bill is barely not going to get hit. Bill's going to go down, but it's under a pallet. Is anyone there for the save? They are. Kate is there for the save. Going for a CJ tech. He's not going to fall for that. He's just going to walk around in a circle. Oh! And that's a second down. Oh my gosh. Big break on that pallet. And now Kate, this Kate should be a third down. Oh my gosh! Boy, oh boy, Unbreakable. Okay. Greatest use of Unbreakable I've ever seen. Stands back up, just gets smacked back down right away. The third Kate winds up picking up the second Kate, and the first Kate's still down on the side of the window. It is a Kate Fiesta, what it is. This Kate has boil over. She's going to be looking to try to make sure a Pain Res hook does not go through. So that will not be the case. And now we have three hooks for no gen completions. DMS hits the gen on the top of the coal tower. What is up with that? What is up with that survivor? So funny. Hearing a little bit of progress at the end of the wood. Evil Incarnate mode lets the kick goes through a little bit faster. Looking to see if they can find anybody from a distance trying to go for this save. And now we find one of the 3 Kates. Activating Evil Incarnate mode, looking to go for the Slaughtering Strike. There is a pallet in the way though. Breaks that pallet easily with the strike. She finds a window, might fake it. Nope. Gonna loop all the way around Killer Shack. In the meantime, though, gonna lose the Kate, losing the scratch marks. I believe the scratch marks went to Killer Shack, though. He's gonna pick them back up. Completely lost her. Looks like some missed skill checks going through. One on the top of Coal Tower and one near the Gen on the Hill. That'll be a second down for one of our dear Kates. And now this Gen has become a pain res hook due to Jagged Compass, but it's still going to carry her closer toward the other ones. Not necessarily a bad idea. Try to get her into the closer to the middle of the map so it's easier to watch. Pain res goes through. DMS activates, or is off cooldown, but does not react. The Bill activates DMS on the gen above. In Coal Tower. But where has he gone? Is he hiding up here? He is! Oh my gosh! Michael doesn't see him at first and looks away. But he will go down. And he will be carried to a wonderful pain res hook. And this will be the 3rd pain res getting used, I believe. DMS still on cooldown. Pain res, I believe, hits the Gen at the bottom of the hill. If not, then I don't know where. Gonna swing through this pallet, take it to the face. This Kate's going for a flashlight because apparently she saw it on the funny Reddit compilation and thinks she's good at the game. Wank her way to another pallet. Is going to drop. This time she knows she goes down if she flashlights, so she's gonna not. But the second Kate number 2 comes out of the woodwork like she wants to get chased. But I guess Kate number 1 is on death hook. Just now realizing it's kind of hard to tell when there's 3 Kates. Heading out the top of Coal Tower. No gens completed yet. If gens were being counted, Michael would be making huge works. Kate dropping her item, thinking that means anything to this Michael, but Michael does not care. He's Evil Incarnate, trying to beat the Nemesis, he's trying to win the game. Now you have 6 hooks, 3 different people, 3 survivors on death hook. Kate number 3 has to do something. We see with Jagged Compass, the Gen in Coal Tower is the most progress. We hear it being worked on. And now DMS blocks it. Sprint burst, gonna get her away. But with no balance landing, Michael just follows through. Michael isn't afraid of a little drop. Sounds like the Kate on hook is currently missing some skill checks. Whether on purpose or on accident, her timer has become a lot shorter. Oh my gosh, I did not even see that Kate. Now she's on the ground in the corner. Really good play by that Michael. Foster Wallace 5 at 6 is playing Sid Meier's Civilization 6 in the top corner. What a guy. This will be the last pain res hook getting used. DMS off cooldown. Nope. Nope. We don't care. Nope. No care in the world. This is the obsession. It could be a decisive strike. Even if it was, because of the fact it was right under hook, there's no chance that the survivor would have had time to hit the skill check if it was a decisive strike. We'll check at the end, winter phrases, see if they did have a decisive strike. If they did, we'll find out. Looks like Bill goes for the save. Gonna be a slug on Kate number 1. Kate number 3 is found. And Bill just trying to decide what he wants to do with his life. Kate looking behind her, doesn't know where the window is. And winds up getting herself her second hook. Very interesting decision by Bill there. Bill does have Unbreakable, but he already used it. I forget if you can use that multiple times. I assume you can't. I assume it just always makes it so that you recover faster, but you cannot pick yourself up multiple times. I could be wrong. I'm getting flamed in the comments right now. Oh, right as Evil Incarnate ended! Boil over is going to make it a little tricky to find a hook, but not too tricky. Kate number 3 is going to die on hook, as is Kate number 1 also goes on hook. Now all that is left is the Bill on the ground. And as long as Bill doesn't somehow stand up complete 4 gens. Have we heard this one before? Let me know if we've heard this one before. It will be a 4K tie. Thought I heard Bill crying for a second, but the sound of the entity sacrificing the survivors is rather loud. Trying to find the poor guy. Come on. There is still a hatch, but of course, don't care too much about hatch escapes. Are you able to stalk down survivors? I assume you can't. That would be broken. Bill has Unbreakable, doesn't he? But it's Grunts of Pain on the ground. Or is that Tenacity? One or the other. Well, as we sit here and wait for Michael to find his slug, I will open up. And we will see that the next matches will be Twins versus Oni, Lich versus Deathbringer, Pig versus Cannibal. After that, we'll have Group 4, Billy versus Plague, Executioner versus Dredge, Trickster versus Trapper, Houndmaster versus Artist, Chucky versus Wraith, Romeo versus Legion, Singularity versus Freddy, Unknown versus Hag, Doctor versus Demogorgon. But as of right now, it's been a lot of ties. And we'll have to see in the next part, the next group, if the ties continue. I don't see any decisive strikes. I wouldn't be able to tell which one it was anyway, because they're all Kate. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Input